that we are in. For example, most of the people here have carried up their hands and they've told us that they are just moving from one level to the other. Most of them KCSE, and they are looking forward to maybe joining a TVET college or even just tertiary education. So credentials, and especially their relevance when it comes to when you're choosing a career. I'd like to, Daktari, for you to talk to us and tell us why it's important. And let's turn it to a level where they get to understand that you are also there. Because when they see the title Daktari, they're like, wow, 7 years plus, 20 years. But I wanted to just come closer. And if you can give us a personal example, it'll even serve it right.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll just start off by looking at the happenings globally. And we are looking at what is happening, especially to the young people, of which majority of us are here today. We are looking at a scenario where we have a lot of unemployment. That's a reality to us. A growing population of young people every day. And when we narrow it down even to our country, Kenya, currently we see almost 1 million, young people being released into job markets every year. So that becomes a challenge in terms of job opportunities. And so to answer your question, the focus now goes beyond just qualifications or attaining certificates. We are looking at skills that will speak to the industry and to the market. And so we look at this year, 2026, for example, the KCSE results. Over 500,000 were below the university, uptake group. And so this is the group that we are targeting also in, for example, TVETs and polytechnics. There's still hope. Most of the people feel that if you didn't attain, let's say, C+ and above, that is the end of you. But today, we are here to encourage you and to tell you that there is hope. Actually, where the world is moving, as we get towards Vision 2030, 2063, where industrialization is the key focus. So skill development is very key. So as a KCSE, as a student from KCSE certification, you have a leeway to progress in any path, either through university or through TVETs, and even to, and you progress. You can start from certificate. We have seen people who've started from as low as certificate to PhD level. So there's a way you can start. And so personally, I don't think I was an A student. I was an average student. So, I used to see these people are getting A's, B's, and so I thought maybe that is my end. I didn't know that one day I would be a doctor, for example. So I had a C+ myself, and that was after struggling. Unajua ile unasoma unaingisha mguu kwa maji, eh? I know we have that kind of people. We have sharp guys and we have those people. But it wasn't the end. As I went through my undergraduate, I realized that the first thing that you need to know is getting into the right place, getting the right course. Most of the people get distracted because they go into the wrong profession, the wrong path that makes them struggle so much in life. So it's good to choose. This is the right time to choose your path to the next level. When you get it right from the beginning, you will go. The sky will not be the limit. You will go beyond. Thank you.
I love that. I would like responses from all of you. When I say all of you, there's one seat that's not filled. I'd like to call upon Mr. Geru to just join us. Karibu. Tumpigie makofi, tumpigie makofi. He is the CEO at AAA Aspire. So you're going to do your introduction, and then we'll continue with that. You can have your seat over here. Yes. So I'll give you time to breathe, and then we will just get a response from Dr. Gift. Unaweza kutuambia even your personal experience. And of course, when you get into that, when you're done with KCSE, and you're trying to get into tertiary education, how do you choose? Because most parents want you to do a degree. And nowadays it's being proven that the people with the skills are in TVET. And the people who have skills are also doing certificates. So, and sometimes what we've studied versus what is being, what is being expected of you in the market is different. So how do we get to bridge that parity to make sure that what I study versus what I do go hand in hand?
Thank you so much, Brian. In higher education, we are doing what we can to ensure that we listen to the industry. So the gap that used to be there, where they were talking about half-baked graduates, we are kind of trying to bridge that and listening to the industry and doing very much what we can to ensure that the skills that are needed in industry are actually being taught in universities. So I don't think it's a choice between a diploma granting institutions and universities, or even certifications. Actually, I think we need all. We need people who are well-trained in degree programs, in this what we call micro-credentials. We also need people who have technical skills, who have micro-credentials. So in a way, we recognized this problem back in 2021 at African Nazarene University. We partnered with a company called Coursera. Some of you may be familiar with a company called Coursera. In fact, they are listed on the New York Stock Exchange. And they've been doing quite well because they are taking university courses as well as industry courses, and they are packaging them online and delivering them. And so I would say, actually, for those of you who are yet to join university, which some of you will join in September, that actually go online. Start to actually do certain certifications that will count towards your employability. And part of what we want to do in higher education is to actually ensure that we recognize those credentials. For instance, you can bring what you have done. They are now talking about stackability, where you can stack them together and they can actually contribute to your credit in the university. And but they're also not just talking about stackability, they're talking about portability. That can you move from one sector to another country with these skills, and can they be recognized? And I know that as I look here, not all of you will end up working just in Kenya. Some of you will be outside the country. So you want to think about what are the global skills that are needed in the world of work today as you think about choosing your career. Don't just follow money. Follow also what is needed, all right? What is needed, of course, will definitely pay you, because where there is need, I was just talking to Antonina, yes. She told me that she wants to do electrical engineering. And you know, in a way, you can think about a career like that and think about the need that is there in terms of, you know, data centers and how much electricity is needed there. So just think about what the world needs and align yourself very well with what's needed. I don't think you will find yourself unemployed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think you'll introduce yourself, Nash, and then we'll get into the detail of our conversation. Dr. will just help with the microphone.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me to this panel. I really appreciate this opportunity. My name is Nash. I represent Aspire Study Abroad, our next level education. And in this particular engagement, we are also representing Pacific International Hotel Management School in New Zealand, abbreviated as PIMS. To get started, I can't agree more with these distinguished panelists in what they have just echoed. I did listen. So we exist to complement the good work that the local universities and the TVETs and colleges do in this country. So what we do is we take either as fresh school leavers, high school leavers, or college graduates or university graduates, and we place them on a pathway for working, for studying abroad and eventually working abroad. As Dr. mentioned here, there are challenges with work opportunities, but out there in the West, we have an aging population, we have very low birth rates, so they are seeking your skills, they are seeking your knowledge, but in many cases, they are reluctant to take us whilst they don't understand what our culture, our corporate culture, our experiences, and because every culture is different, they are usually reluctant. But when you've taken a bit of study there, it makes you shine and you become more acceptable. So we always encourage, even if you've done a master's degree, top it up with another postgraduate study that is locally issued in that country, locally recognized, and that will give you the much needed escape velocity to be able to shine and to be able to show yourself as capable, because we do have those skills in this country. This country has exceptional people with exceptional talents, and the greatest thing that I've found in this country, because I've lived in Australia for 26 years myself, is the greatest thing that I find in this country is that the people in this country are extremely hardworking, extremely hardworking. In fact, the problem we have with them isn't about work. It's because it's on the other side, that they work too much. They work too much, they work very many hours. Even people question, how can a student earn so much? So that's what we have. So we have hardworking students, and whenever we go to overseas, the issue is not whether a student can actually be able to pay the fees. As long as they can pay the initial bit, they're actually able to surmount the tuition fees and turn themselves to a success. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the proper introduction of who you are, what you do, and also adding your breath on the question that I had asked earlier on. Mr. Makumi, there is one thing that I see as a challenge, and of course, even for the people seated in this room, there is what your parent wants you to do, there is what the community would like you to do, and then there is what you would like to do, then there is the expectation of the market. So, seated here, maybe I'm just done with my KCSE, and maybe the community raised school fees so that I can go to this institution. And the expectation is so that I become a doctor to come and help. But my mother was raising an engineer of sorts, and for me, I just want to be a musician. So how then do you make sure that you get your right footing on your first chance? Because, for example, we don't have so many chances to try it out, especially from KCSE into tertiary education. There's the expectation of you getting it right the first time. So what happens when I don't get it right the first time, and how do I manage all these expectations?
Thank you. As you're posing the question, I'm imagining myself going to a university, joining the first year, and then pursuing a 4-year course just to complete and please my parents, and then come and start pursuing my own life. I think, number one, we need to create awareness as institutions. How can we do this? Because here we have the young generation that we need to mentor. Some of them are those that you're saying. They are stuck in community expectations. They are stuck in parental expectations and family expectations. How do we unhook them? So that once this student or this person gets into either a TVET or a university, they get into a career that they will pursue for a long time and according to their own wish. Number one, we have a lot of platforms where awareness is created. This is just one of these platforms where this awareness is created. Now, the second platform that we can use is universities and TVET institutions have some weeks in every semester that they call career weeks or mentorship weeks. These mentorship weeks and career weeks are open to the public. It is always important for you who want to join a university or a college to pursue a career, and you are walking different paths with your parent. They want you to take engineering, but you want to take medicine. Walk into a TVET, walk into a university with your parent, and they'll meet professionals where these, where now everything that you need spoken and sorted out will be done there. The merits and the demerits of each of these two programs and why you should go where you want to go matters. The other thing is, you are young people seated in front of us, and our parents are also here in front of us. The young people are telling us, tujitume, is it? Wake up, walk into a university. We have career mentors there. Wake up, go to a TVET institution. We have career mentors there. Lecturers are there. Admission desks are always there, willing to, to convey all the information that you need to make the decision on the courses that you need to make at no cost. And any material that you need, any information that you need to make your decisions, and to even inform and convince your parent. However, we have to acknowledge that sometimes we have young people who need guidance. Is it? We have young people who need guidance. And so it is not all the time that parents are wrong. Yeah? Now, when we talk about these courses, you may want a certificate. You may want a diploma. But when you look at what your parent is telling you to do, maybe he has some right in it. Let me ask a question and answer myself. Is a certificate enough? Is a paper enough? I graduate with a diploma. I graduate with a certificate. I graduate with a degree. Is that enough? No, it is not enough. A paper can never be sufficient until what is reflected in that paper is the skill that you have. It is not just about the paper. It's about what you can do with your hand. And careers are not linear. Personally, I'm a tourism and hospitality trainer. But when I was working, somehow I found myself in big data engineering and big data analytics. I found myself there. I get my diploma from a TVET institution. What are the other extras that the industry needs? For example, I'm just one example. Because I'm training students who are to come in the tourism space, and they get maybe a diploma in tour guiding or a diploma in tourism management. Is that enough? No. Why? Because on top of that certificate that will be given by the institution, you will have driving skills coming in handy. Because you cannot be in the tourism space if you cannot drive. When you are to come into tour guiding, you need at least a certification in guiding skills. That is where the KPSGA, the Kenya Professional Safari Guides Association badges, silver, bronze, gold, comes in handy. You see? Now, you will find yourself going from one area to the other to complement your skills. So, this is where now areas that or information that is not coming to where you are, and you need to come to where we are so that we can, we can distribute this information to you so that you can make the right decisions. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Mr. Makumi. Ruth, I'd like you to just touch on the level that we've held diplomas and degrees, and then now when you have a certificate in some spaces, it's even hard to knock down a door. And that demoralizes so many people. For example, if there's a job that has been advertised and they've written maybe degree and maybe I have a diploma or a certificate, I might be demoralized to actually apply. When do I decide and make that decision to go to the next level? Or how did you do that for yourself, for example? Because there are some people who, they don't start at degree level and go there. Some start as entrepreneurs. Then they get into the market and they're told, oh, there's a high expectation of you to have certification. And choosing even the certificate or the document that you'd like to carry becomes a problem. So how did you address that on a personal level?
Thank you, Brian. You know, the best thing is that learning or education is a lifelong journey. So you can start at where you are. That is the best thing that we have. Also, even as we are here after our KCSE wondering, okay, which path? Just to allude to what someone has said. We are all gifted differently. Some of us will excel in health sector. Some of us are gifted in excelling in just doing business entrepreneurship. Some of us are creatives. But then education has come to improve areas that we are gifted and talented in. So even as you start at certificate, and in the current conversations that are ongoing, currently job spaces, business spaces are looking at a skill and a competence in an area, all right? So at certificate level, there is a skill and a competence that can even allow you to work and start there, earn a living, and then you are able to progress to diploma. Then you are able to progress to degree, and all the way to PhD, all right? So it does not matter where you start, nor the why and start. And let me just emphasize, let it be an area where you are a natural in. You will be innovative. You will push yourself to do better even as you go into the workspaces, all right? So I'd want to just add this, and I know maybe someone will allude to it. Right now we are in the dispensation of digital era, and someone is maybe asking, what about affordability? I want to do a degree, and maybe I'm thinking, this is too expensive for me right now. You can start at a certificate level. You can start at a diploma level, okay? And some of these universities and colleges have programs that you can even access online and be able to achieve your credential, okay? So let's use the current dispensation, search, and then we are able to align to what we want to be and what we want to aspire. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ruth. Nash, I'd definitely jump and ask you this question because you've talked about how when Kenyans travel abroad and maybe they're moving towards a particular career, there is a level of skill that is required of them. For example, when I finished Form 4, I had gotten a grade to go to university. But because of an exchange with my dad, that moment when you're turning 18, for the men in the house, if you agree with me, you can clap once. When you turn 18, you feel like you know where you're going. Clap once. Kweli. Umesikia hiyo? Ladies, hii hatuchukua tumewaambia. But at that point, I was trying to figure myself out. And so I decided to go and teach drama, music, and theater. So I did that for 2 years. And after that, I was like, I now think I know what I want to do. But it still did not sit well with my parents. Long story short, my skills today have helped me leverage faster in the space that I am at because I worked kidogo, nikaonja pesa kidogo, nikajua I want to add the skill so that I can get to improve. But it also gives me an example of the many young people who already want to go and work abroad. Is the case so different from what I did, or is the case a little bit different?
Brian, you've asked a very excellent question. And to respond to that, I think the pathway is very clear. When we engage in whatever career we engage in, it opens our mind. We get to see certain facets that were probably just theoretical. We get to practice them. So basically, as opposed to working abroad or being abroad, what they seek most for is a talent. And that talent, you already had it. It's just a demonstration of that capability. And then with that, of course, you need, as the panelists have said, you now need to shine that skill and that talent. And for it to shine and for you to be able to speak before kings, you need to have some credentials behind it. So basically what we have is that all of us here have a skill. It's a diamond. That diamond isn't necessarily placed in a black surface and there's no light shining it. So the opportunity to study, the opportunity to work enables us to shine that diamond and illuminate our light so that we can see all the marvelous cuts of that diamond. And that's what we are. So we all have skills, and unless we can actually be able to show them, then the world doesn't know what opportunities we can offer. So basically, that's what they look for. They look for somebody who has that potential. And I believe in your case, Brian, when you started that theater, you could see there was, you enjoyed doing it, and you could see there was responses, and that's how you cut your career. I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, you've actually answered my question. And I'd just throw it to Daktari and ask you a simple one, because there's so many people who get into a space where they do not know what they would like to start with. And the challenge has always been all those many noises, as I've said. But for you, I would like to just definitely understand, how would you advise a first-time Form 4 leaver to get into a space where they can get into the competitive market, considering there is credential inflation? Now, credential inflation is where I have all these piles and piles and piles and piles of certifications. And when I get to the market, they tell me, you should have done this one. And you've just arrived. Nobody gave you that kind of advice. You're dealing with chemistry and all these other things. So how did you navigate that space? And what can you advise?
Okay, thank you, Brian. I'll start off with, there was an issue of those people already have skills. They're already entrepreneurs in one way or another. So I want to say that the government currently is working towards certifying that group of people through recognition of prior learning, which is ongoing. So if you have a skill or you're already working, you're a welder, a plumber, you're doing something, some kind of work, you can be certified and you get a certificate that is recognized by the government. So that is also an opening for most of the young people who are already in the field. So, and from there you can progress. From RPL, recognition of prior learning certificate, you can now move. So there's an avenue for everyone. On the other hand, answering your question, as an institution, Morendat Institute, we looked around, and that was the biggest question. We don't want just to produce people who are doing, who have certificates, but there is no opportunity. So the world is looking the other way around. We are training to fit into the market needs. And one of the areas, if I can give as an example, we are technical institute. So we looked at welding, for example. You see, welding all along has been just one of those courses that people would ignore. Little do they know that this is a very big area that has opportunities both locally and international. So we looked at it and analyzed where is the problem. So we look at the expectations, global expectations in terms of welding, and we pursued that path so that we can produce the best welders, not only in Kenya, but even globally. And with job opportunities, globally for welders, there's ship and all that. So the kind of welding we've had in the past was just for the windows, doors, and all that. But this is a heavy kind of welding, specialized welding, that is a short term. It's a certification course and fits in anybody, whether you are a Form 4 leaver, whether you are an engineer, whether you are already in the industry working. We have had almost 5 groups since 2014 of the same, complying to international standards like ISO 9606. American Welding Society also recognizes that. And as more than that, we have been accredited to certify welders, both locally and even internationally, even in the region. In American Welding Society, we're the only ones in Africa certifying welders. And in the international, we call diploma in welding, international welders, we are the third after South Africa and Nigeria. So there are huge opportunities. With that certification, there's so much demand. For example, in oil and gas areas in Middle East, where they want these safety courses, welders who have done this. And recently, we've had our students absorbed in international markets for the same. So the best thing is to first analyze, know what the market demands, what is the need. You don't just do a course for the sake of it, but you are looking at the end result. What are the opportunities that comes with that course? So I think that is the most important thing as you navigate your career path. Don't just pick a course because someone has told you or because it's the in thing. No, just do it because you're looking at either you be self-employed or the opportunities that are there, either maybe locally or internationally. Yes, thank you.
I love that you've introduced that because everyone now is being told to do IT. Wangapi wameambiwa wafanya IT? By show of hands, any of you who's been guided to do IT? Anyone pursuing IT? Yeah. It's just one person. Okay. So most of the parents right now have been told the future is artificial intelligence and everything to do with technology. And so it kills all these other passions. And you might end up doing exactly that. But from your institution, Gift, I definitely want to know, how do you match their careers to what the global economy expects? Because sometimes I might learn something for 4 years, get done with, I chose it by myself, and I'm passionate about it. But of course, it's a mismatch, either of skill or maybe of the kind of quality that I'm going to offer in the market.
Thank you so much, Brian. What we are doing is that in 2023, 2022, we came up with what we call the curriculum framework. And in that framework, we actually laid out the 21st century skills that are needed, regardless of what career that you find yourself in. And because these 21st century skills will allow each and every person to adapt as the world of work changes. And as I look at you, I can tell for sure that many of you will have to change your careers at some point in your life. The question is, are you prepared to move to the next thing that you need to do because what you were doing before is no longer needed? Some of you may have been paying attention. You know that just this week, or was it last week, the companies like Tesla and Waymo, they are already doing self-driving cars. What does that mean? That means drivers in the future are not going to be needed, right? Because if I have a car that drives itself and I come to work, the car will drop me and then it will go and make money for me while I'm working, right? Now think about how many people are employed in the transport sector who will not be employed in the future. I was talking to a mechanic. We were carried by this small car, the Henry, and it's an electric car. And the driver told us, this car only needs a person who can fix the transmission, just, you know, the wheels. But that means that all those who fix cars in the future will no longer need to be regular mechanics. It will need to be people who do those who do auto electricians, right? And so seeing these trends that are happening is very, very important, because as we speak right now, some jobs will not exist. And so don't prepare for a job. Get skills that can be adopted in every situation and in different generations. Some of them will be gone by 2030. The question is, what are we doing? So to answer your question, Brian, we are very much bringing the industry in the classroom. We are working with industry and having, you know, industry experts coming to our classes. And I think we want to call on industry to just say, don't blame academia for preparing half-baked graduates. We want industry to come to the classroom. When we send a student to do internship, we want that student to not just sit and be serving tea to the executives in that company. We want them to actually be able to engage and be taught everything that there is to be taught. One student just recently went to a company that I should not mention, and he's doing procurement. And because we have been, you know, using AI to help them to learn and to see how they can actually use do their courses and be able to solve problems using AI. One of the questions that he was asked, can you use AI in that company? And they are already, of course, using AI. And as you understand, here in Kenya, CEOs are investing as much as 20% of their budget into AI. That means we have to understand. And they're saying that it's not those who, AI is not going to take jobs of people who know how to use AI. Those who don't know how to use AI are the ones who will be replaced. And so we have to integrate these skills as we teach. It doesn't matter what course it is. And that's part of where the micro-credentials come in. That yes, this may not be part of the traditional qualification in a degree, but you can get it as an extra, as a certification. And you don't have to wait until you're finished school, because sometimes people wait until they've finished their degree, like business courses, and they start to do the certifications. You can start now, and that's what I'm encouraging you to do. Instead of just sitting at home, start to do those kind of certifications even now. And we will find a way to integrate them into your educational system and hopefully give you credit for some of that.
Thank you for giving us that feed. But I'd like to just, anyone can actually answer this one. There's the pronouncement of future jobs, and it causes a lot of panic, especially before we even get in. For example, mi nataka kuendesha nganya, si ndio? Or maybe, sijui mnataka kuendesha nganya, and then you're told in future maybe the nganya will be driving itself. And right before I even get into that space of maybe I want to be in logistics for matatus, or maybe I want to be the leader of a SACCO or something like that, how then do I address this from the level that I stand? Because there's the future of work and the expectations of that. And is the job market ready, especially in Kenya, for that? Because we are considered a third world country. Don't you think these jobs are going to be here for slightly longer compared to whatever is being announced? Because the global economy is announcing that, oh, you know, this is the future of work. We'll be having robots cleaning our houses. We'll be having automatic cars that are going to be driving themselves. But are we ready? Are we there yet? Anyone can actually give me feedback on the same.
Since I raised that, I'll just say something briefly and then my colleagues will continue. I think it's going to be an economic issue. The question is, why would a company that wants to maximize its profits continue to hire people that they don't need, where machines or automation can actually reduce? So it's going to be an economic issue. That same young man who was driving the electric car, I asked him, how much money do you spend on this car per day? He said 300 shillings. So if a normal Uber driver is spending maybe say 3,000 shillings to 4,000 shillings, and there is one who is spending 300 shillings to charge his car, which way will a Uber driver go? He's not going to go for the traditional car. He's going to go for the electric car. And so it's just going to be an economic issue, and we just have to be prepared for it. Things happen too fast on this side of the world, and we have to just understand that.
Adopt.
Yes.
Okay. Makumi, I'd like to know, are we moving to a space where it's going to be skills first compared to qualifications first? Because from just the conversation we've had right now, everyone is mentioning skills here, skills there. So don't you think I should just go and look for the skills and not look at the qualifications? Or how can you address that one?
I think in skill helps solve a problem. Holding a certificate does not solve a problem. It is the skill, the ability to do work. However, you cannot prove that you have a skill if you're not certified. Otherwise, we would have everybody running around as an engineer, everybody running out as a doctor, but there is no any standard verification of who is qualified and who is not. Skills are very, very important, but certifications are equally important. Because let's take, for example, how does regulatory authorities in our country and abroad get to know that you are qualified to pursue a certain task? When we see buildings collapsing in our country, and then we are told that maybe an architect or an engineer who was not qualified was involved in the work on the site, how do we distinguish between a qualified and an unqualified engineer? You see, so certifications are good, but your certification and your qualification that you're certified for must reflect the skills that you have. If there is a mismatch between the two, then there is nothing that we can have there. You can have so many, and that's why we have employers saying that, by the way, this person have so many very nice certificates, very good CV, but when you put them to the task, then they cannot do it. You see that organizations are shifting from boardroom interviews. It is, you tell me, that you can operate a computer, then I place a computer in front of you. I can drive, then you put up a vehicle in front of me, right? A hotel is hiring a chef. I'm a good chef, a pastry chef, whatever I am, then put me to the kitchen. Because now we are living at a time when we have, even the government is struggling with fake certifications. People who are employing for jobs with fake certificates and, forged certificates. And because employers are running away from this, they are now finding a way of matching skill and qualification. And that is now, because they are changing their way of interviewing. And change is inevitable. Just to add on what my colleague here have said, that when we are looking towards the future, we have to acknowledge that change is inevitable. Innovations will keep coming. Things will keep changing. Briefly, if we look at history, where we are coming from, at some point, humans invented fire. And I want to imagine there were some quotas who were saying that fire is good because out of fire, we can eat meat that is burnt or cooked, and it's softer and easier to digest. But there were others that were saying fire is bad because it burns people, it kills children, it's dangerous, you see? But we found a way of taming fire, and we live with it. Maybe somewhere in our house, packed in a cylinder. We invented language at some point. And maybe there were some quotas who were saying that language is bad. Why? Because we have language, we have people who gossip. Because we have language, we have people who lie. However, we could not be seated here communicating and, enlightening each other if we didn't have language. Internet came. Maybe internet is good, and to some other quotas, internet is bad. The question is the internet bad, or am I the bad person who is consuming internet the wrong way? Same way, AI is here with us. I want to imagine if we condemn artificial intelligence today and we crash it, maybe 500 years from now or 1 million years from now, generations to come will condemn this generation for killing a very, very good tool that could inform decisions and business and enterprise in the future, just like people in our past would have condemned fire or condemned language or even condemned agriculture. Is it?
Yes.
Yeah, that is my take. The only thing that we can do is, because we know that the human mind is able to relearn, and even adapt, let us keep adapting and let us be flexible to change. Let us keep changing with the environment and keep advancing and making our lives better. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Ruth, I definitely want you to just give me your breath on choosing courses. What are some of the common mistakes that you've experienced, maybe from where you stand? Because it starts from a very early stage. For me, I knew I was going to be in the media business since I was 7 years. I've never made any other decision to be anything else. The argument with my dad was, I want to be a lawyer. But I chose something that I'm good at, and he's watching me right now. So I'm lucky, okay? But there are some who come in and they make a mistake when they're choosing their course. Maybe they want to do it because their peers, they want to be, there's a lot of peer pressure. They're like, sisi wote tunataka kuwa madoki. So you have the pressure of becoming a doctor, and maybe you're not passionate and you're not even qualified. What's some of the common mistakes that you've actually seen when people are choosing courses that they like to pursue?
Thank you, Brian. So there is a saying that says comparison sometimes, is an enabler. It motivates you and sometimes can lead you into doing something that is not for you, all right? So, for example, why do I want to be a doctor? Is it because my neighbor is a doctor? Or my father was a doctor? Or is because that is what I want to do? So, even as you're doing it because you're comparing, you can say, I want to be a doctor because my father was a good doctor. I want to be better than him. But if you are comparing because, it is not aligning to what I had alluded earlier, to your passion, to your natural setting, then you will struggle even after graduating. And that's why you see sometimes people finish and then they bring back the certificate and say, "Hii ilikuwa yako, let me go and do what I'm passionate for." So as I have said, align it to your credentials, definitely, and align it to your passion. So let me just talk about maybe picking a career in health sector, which I think is one of the currently most in demand careers, okay? So when you're thinking about a health sector, you'd want to look at the front, the fronts of a hospital. Maybe I want to be a doctor, I want to be a nurse, I want to be a pharmacist. What we also forget, in the same health sector, there are opportunities in the back end. You can pick a career in the health sector as the producers of this machine, the repairers of this machine, using AI to make an ICU machine. You'll not be you'll not be a doctor, but you have worked in another industry producing that machine. So even as we look at the careers that we want to choose, there is what people see, and there is the back end, which most people sometimes try to assume or neglect. But I'd want to encourage us, be in a space that you are producing something, okay? Not consuming. And I think you had alluded at the fact that, for example, I want to work in a matatu sector, and then someone had said, now matatus will be driving themselves. But we'll be the one producing those matatus. We'll be the one utilizing now AI to bridge the gap to now produce matatus that self-drive. So we should not be frustrated. Use AI, produce, and you'll be in the front sector of this global economy. Thank you very much.
I'm looking at my clock right now. It says we're remaining with about 6 minutes to be done. I'd like to open this forum to anyone out there. If you have a question, you can just say who you're directing it to. And Joseph Trends will help me identify anyone who has a question to just give us their question. And of course, either identify or just throw it to my panelists to give you response on the same. It could be as simple as ABC. It could be as technical as Q, X, and Z, and how they appear on the alphabet. But there's a hand over there. Kindly help me get that.
All right, ako wapi? Very good. Tupige makofi, madam. Ako wapi hivi karibu?
Thank you. I'm Mercy, an educator. We are representing Ngong Road Children's Foundation. Now, my question is directed to Nash. Racism is hardly talked about when we are telling students about jobs globally. How do you handle that when we are marketing all these courses to students to go out, especially the Form 4 leavers, who probably are going to get a culture shock? What they see, just like Ruth said, there's what we see and there's what's at the back. The courses will be very lucrative, attractive, very good flyers, but sometimes the racism issue, even when it comes to absorption, there's almost so much that is allowed for you.
Just pull your microphone closer to your mouth.
Yes, I'm saying there's so much that can be accepted from you depending on where you're coming from, the course you have done, and sometimes the continent, or rather your skin. So how do you deal with racism when you're
Thank you for that question. That's a very important question. I had the same to ask, and how can we address that?
Sally, I don't know if you should maybe have one more from a gentleman right here. Is that okay?
Yes, we can have one more, get the responses, and if you have more time, we can stretch.
Thank you very much. I'm Josiah from Nakuru. My question is, there used to be a course, I don't know whether it is still there, called Certified Public Secretary, CPS. Please, could you advise us on who employs CPS graduates, where is it offered, or whether it is still a course offered anywhere? It used to be famous some times ago. Certified Public Secretary. Na please mutueleze inaendana na kosi gani, maybe in IT or human resource or something like that. CPS, thank you.
CPS. Anyone who can give us response on the same? Joseph, let's answer two.
Okay.
I'm seeing many more hands over here. We'll definitely give you a chance. But I'd like to also have the questions, make them clear, and then also the responses, try and make them as clear. Talk to us.
Thank you for that wonderful question in regards to racism and how do we handle that. Firstly, I just want to let's all be sincere with ourselves. At one time or another, you have been somewhere and you didn't like somebody because of how they looked or what they owned or because they looked differently. If we can be honest with ourselves, at one time we have disliked somebody. Prejudice is prejudice. You just meet somebody and say, doesn't speak my language, doesn't have the right accent, doesn't look right, and so we have disregarded them. So let's start from that point that all of us are also guilty of not treating each other as well as we ought to have. Having said that, then let's come to the diaspora point of view, whereby there are also people, and in particular places where they have not had opportunity to meet people of color like ourselves or like most of us, and as such, they are intrigued. They do not understand our language, or they do not understand our accent. Those people are always there. They are all over the world. Whichever place you go in the world, you will find them. How do you deal with it? You deal with it by being clear, being confident, holding your shoulders back, projecting your voice so that your accent can be understood, speaking slowly, and with time you actually gain acceptance. But most important of it all, you must prove yourself competent. You must prove yourself competent, because the minute they see what was shared by my colleague here, Stephen, the minute they see that your skill does not match your certification, that is when that prejudice puts you down the drain. But if you can match the words, if you can speak eloquently, if you can write a good report, and not just write a good report, write an excellent report, then you will stand out. I can tell you where I was, because I'm based in Adelaide, South Australia. They used to tell me to write reports because I could write reports that were so clear, so outstanding, and I took time to do it. So you have to shine, you have to rise above, and then you gain acceptance. And once you gain acceptance, you will realize nobody is treating you with race. In fact, the race factor happens more to those people who focus on it. If you go and get the job done, and not just do it well, exceptionally well, there will be nobody who will question. So thank you for that.
I love that response. And it's a social issue. It's not is it a professional issue? But I get to understand that in some spaces you might walk in, and if you're a doctor from sub-Saharan Africa, I don't know if the treatment is different. I haven't traveled that much. But I think it's something that we can also carry on. And you can carry the conversation with Nash here. I think you're open to have that conversation?
Yes, we are open, and yes. You need to be here. And even those who are watching, they need to be here. Mm-hmm. There's lots of opportunities here. There's lots of knowledge that you can be able to engage in here. Yeah. There are lots of international and local opportunities. You just need to be here, and you'll be able to engage. Could you answer that one of CPS?
Yes, please. And any one of my panelists can actually pick or do a response on the same.
Whatever qualification you have, it may have been awarded in the past. You may have been a secretary. You may have been a typist. As long as you're taking that profession and improving it, and you are researching into what direction is this taking us, you will always find a place. Because in CPS, there's a lot of legal studies. So there's law, there's paralegal education. As long as you keep building on that. But if you get the CPS certificate and you hold on to it and you never do anything else, then you'll be like the one who has that matatu and it's now becoming electric, and soon the mechanical ones will not be running. Then you find yourself out of a job. But if you're in that space, If you continue in that space and in that inquiry,
Yeah.
you will get something for you.
I'll put a pin on that to just officially announce that if you're watching us from home on NTV, we are now live. And of course, this is the Higher Education Fair and Skills Expo. I'm your host, Brian Aseli. My amazing panelists are here. We've been having a comprehensive report or even a conversation around making sure that your credentials are on point as you even, or getting to understand how you can choose a path in your career. And we're just having our responses right now. It's a Q&A, and there's an amazing audience. I wish my camera would pan around so that people can see the room. It's actually full to the brim, and it's amazing young men and women who like to take charge of their career paths. There's any other question from the audience? Yes, there's a gentleman over here. There's another one over here. I'll take 2 questions, and then we'll get responses from my panelists.
Hello.
Hello, kindly introduce yourself and also just ask your question.
Yes, I am Bruce Karanja. I'm 17. I'm from Lanet, Nakuru County. I would want to direct my question to Nash since I think he's the one who can answer it. So where do I start? We are told that education is the key. And now, as young people around me are saying, it's like they've changed the lock. The key no longer works. So it's a bit cynical, yes, but it brings about a greater issue of wanting more out of your education. That's why I have taken it upon myself to apply for abroad universities. Now, the thing is, with these abroad universities, they offer the option to work as you study. That is what has been very attractive to me. And as I was applying one day, a guy came and, a father figure, if you would, came and advised me, took me and my mother aside and advised me that I should not go there immediately after I finish my KCSE. I should at least try to do my undergraduate in Kenya and get the discipline of managing money and all that, and kukula maisha kiasi if you would. So because when you go abroad, there's a lot of money and opportunity and all that, and you need the discipline. I did not agree with that personally, but you know how it is. I wanted to ask your professional opinion on the matter. So should I hold off, or should any of us who want to apply hold off, go to a local university or polytechnic for our first undergraduate, and then afterwards, that is when we can go and pursue further studies outside? What would be your advice? Thank you.
Geru, I think you'll give response to that in just a bit. Joseph Trans, help me get this question so that we can just answer real quick. Any other person with a question before we get there? I'm only going to take maybe 4 more as we continue. Yes.
I'm Professor Carescio, and I am one of the educators of this country. Mine is, I do have 2 issues. AI and the one which was started called the Village Polytechnic back 1964, 65, 66. And if you ask all these people who are here, there is no any trained or ever trained in a village polytechnic living or alive this time. What can the country do to make sure the TVET, the technical issues, whatever new is coming, is taken by young kids so that we may go up? There is one thing which is very, very dangerous to us Kenyan. We try to do the best for other countries, to be employed in England, US, wherever we go, wherever we want to work. But when we go there, we leave. I did my PhD in America. We are treated like slaves. You cannot be given the higher work. Why? Because the foundation of this country, where we are, the foundation of this country, where we are, we get doctors like you. But you'll never see a doctor like you or me or the other going to the village village polytechnic, village nursery school to talk to that teacher, teaching the young people there. We just wait for us to be given the left out. If you tell all these people to study here, most of them are wearing mitumba clothing. And then we had our own machineries here. We had our own clothing and whatever. But where are our people? And the last day before I sit down, when we wanted to build the second railway going to from Nairobi down to Mombasa, this was after almost 100 years. 1906 was the first railway done here in Kenya. But the question is, how many Africans were taken to China to go and do attachment? These young people here, to do attachment, so that when the Chinese went back to their country, we do have people to do the repair, to continue with that, to go to take the railway to Kakamega and wherever. The last thing is that we want the whole country to take everything seriously, especially for our youth. That's why we have got a lot of mental problems within our youth. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor. That was passionate. And it's a true expression of being a Kenyan and having experienced life outside the country. How do we bring back dignity, especially to our professions, and how do we make sure that our best doctors come back home and actually inspire? How do we create an economy like that? I think you'll give responses for the two, and we'll go on to the next part of the program. I'm being informed that our CEO is here, and we'll definitely want to go to that part of the program.
Thank you. I think I'll start by responding to the gentleman. I did not hear his name, but I'll respond to your question. Your question, you're basically trying to ask, when should I apply to go and study? Is it right after high school, or after my first degree, or after my master's? Was that not the question?
Yeah.
Right. There is no right or wrong. It depends on the individual. There are young people straight from high school who are able to manage their affairs very well. They don't need mommy and daddy supporting them in this and that. So those ones are able to take off right away. There are some of us, and they are our children. They need a little more of support. They need a little more of care. They need a little more of guidance. Those ones can go after their first degree. But for those ones who are go-getters, those who are able, why wait? The opportunity is there. Do it now. Start today. Yes? So that's what I can say. And in regards to the wonderful words that were shared by Dr. here, they have a lot of depth. I really, for a man of your age and wisdom, I really don't know how to answer you, because you have delved deep into the core of some of the issues that not only affect this country, but affect many other countries. I have been also in the power industry, and we found that in the power industry, we have museums where we are able to display some of the gadgets that we used to use in yesteryears. Now, for those gadgets, if you want somebody to come and polish them and make them operational, we have to go back to the archives. And our archives are our old people, some of them retired, very knowledgeable, and we bring them and they share their knowledge and their wisdom. So there is a place for all of us, including yourself, including the professors who are far. There's a place for all of us. A community and a society is made of all of us. Those who are knowledgeable, those who are old, those who are retired, those who are young. That's how we make a beautiful community. I hope that's just a comment, because your question has so much depth to be answered.
And that's a very good way to actually just think about our contribution towards the global economy, because we need to fix our economy and incentivize it to make sure that even if you study abroad, you can actually come back home and make sure that you get to not only inspire, but also work and earn at home. I like your conclusive remarks on the same. Generally, we're going into the market. It's all of us. It's people with experience, people with zero experience. We're getting to a space where we'd like to move and be dignified, as he said. What would be your breath on that?
Thank you so much, Brian. Maybe as I talk about it, I'll just want to assure Professor that TVETs have taken off and there's hope. There's a lot of work that is going on, and they're being equipped, both the trainers, equipments that, and basing on international, standards, where we are looking at also countries like Germany, China, in terms of the advancement in TVET. So in my conclusive words, I would like to encourage each one of you that there is hope. There are opportunities, it's you to grab them. Just go ahead, and this is the right foundation and exposure. You can now make a decision on the next step, and all will be well, and there's an opportunity for everyone. Thank you.
I will answer the question that you had asked earlier on as my concluding remarks, whether or not we should choose degrees or we should choose these certifications alone. I would start with what I said earlier. We should not have to choose between the two. We actually need both. We need people who are broadly trained, not just narrowly trained to get a particular skill. As important as skills are, they also have their life shelf. Sometimes that skill may no longer be needed in the future. But you see, if you are broadly trained, you can easily adjust and be able to transition to new skills that are needed. And I'll just give you an example. In 2008, when the housing market crisis happened, it has been documented that it was because of people who were narrowly trained who were running the financial sector at the time. And I think as a country, we want to ensure that we don't just have certain skills, but we have people who are broadly trained, who understand, who can make systems decision, not just understand just a small thing. And I encourage you young people to just not study a narrow thing, but to be broadly trained, but still get those skills that are relevant to the market. Thank you.
Mr. Makumi, and then we'll have Ruth.
Allow me to say that, Professor, I share your pain. I share your pain because I think I'm the youngest panelist seated here. And what we are facing as the youth is a very huge struggle. But when we talk of railway, SGR, and China, I think when you go to China to start a business, the conditions there are that you must have a process for knowledge and skill transfer. That you are a Kenyan, you are an American, or whatever you are investing in China, you have a certain business in China, you must train the Chinese people on how to do what you are doing so that we equip them. The question is, why can't we have the same thing as Kenya? So that when we have Chinese engineers coming to Kenya, then the knowledge and skill transfer comes to the Kenyans, so that from there we can progress to... The other thing is, and when we are here training, and I'm very happy that we have a lot of young people here who are, they are hungry for skill so that they can be productive in our country. They can do work. The question, the issue here is policy. It is a very big economic problem that we have, because right now our economy is shrinking, not expanding. And for us to have these people working in our country, because we are the countrymen of Kenya, and before we go developing other countries there with the skills and knowledge we have acquired in Kenya, we should invest them to the development of our country first. But you find that sometimes the tax regimes are inhibitive for business in Kenya, that starting a small micro enterprise for a young person in Kenya becomes so hard. And you find that even the taxes that we are paying, the government support, sometimes it's minimal, and therefore industries are not able to expand so much so that they can absorb so many people as we are training them. So I think it's a very big problem, and with I think it calls for a conversation so that now as we progress we can go rectifying where we are wrong. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So to sum it up, I'd want to say that the future is bright. However, the dynamics of employment relates to demand and supply. Even as you think and reflect on the path that you'd want to choose, the world is moving to global skills that are recognized globally, where whether it's in Kenya, you'll be competent and work. In the event that the opportunities are not in Kenya, but the opportunities are in Uganda, you'd still go there, be competent and work. In the event that the opportunities are not in Uganda, but they are in China, they are in Germany, they are in whatever country you want to, you'll be able to be competent and work. So the world is moving in terms of globalization of the education, and you can access this through, in a very affordable way. So choose credentials that can be recognized internationally. So if maybe your degree or your diploma or your certificate is not maybe recognized internationally, that is why we have short courses. We have short courses that then you can add up to your certificate, up to your diploma, and then with that, you are able to work. Even currently, we are moving into the space of people working remotely. You don't have to be in the States to work in the States. You can be here in Kenya, but still work in States. But what will be recognized by that state organization are your international credentials. So mine is to wish you well, and I know you'll excel. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. A round of applause to my panelists, tafadhali. Tuwapigie makofi, tafadhali. And add on the applause to you for being such an amazing audience. We'd like to move forward, and a big appreciation to you for just sharing the golden nuggets and your experience within this space, so that everyone in this room, even for me, it was a masterclass, getting to understand the patchworks that I need to do, and also explore opportunities not only here and equally abroad. Another challenge that I got was from Professor here, who gave us a challenge to also think about home, build home, and make sure that we get to excel even right here. My challenge to you who's listening to us and watching us at home is, let's stop the generational wars. Let's stop this Gen X, Millennial, Gen Z conversation. The enemy is poverty. If you hear that there is division amongst generation, it means someone is cutting a profit. So I would urge you who's listening to stop with the generational wars, because there's something about the previous generations that we can learn. There's something about this generation that we need not dismiss, because if we work intergenerationally, we'll make sure that we get to advance. Thank you so much for your time. And if you're watching us at home, tunawakaribisha, come to Sarit Center right now. The event is absolutely free. We have different exhibitors from different institutions. If you want to advance and make that transition from high school into higher education, you get an opportunity. If you want to make an advancement in higher education and get to explore different fields, you can also get the advice that you need. Thank you very much for creating time to be here. And I'd like to invite Joseph Trends back on stage. Asanteni sana. Thank you so much to my panelists. Hi, asante. We'll take a photo. And then from there, Joseph Trends can actually continue with the conversation. DJ.